this one. And I also got a Crossverses battle for you guys today. Today, I'm talking about Natsu Dragneel versus Shinman Benimaru from Fire Force. I think this is a great fight, y'all. This ain't one of those fights that's one-sided like you might think. We do know how powerful both characters are, right? Natsu's one of the most powerful characters in his verse, and then Benimaru is one of the more powerful characters in his verse. Shinman Benimaru is a second and third generation pyrokinetic. And the only one of his kind, right? Destroyer of Asakusa Company 7 captain, right? Natsu Dragneel's a dragon slayer, fire dragon slayer trained by Igneel, revived by his brother Zeref, and he's also part demon, right? Or he was, right? So these two are gonna go at it. The first scenario is gonna happen at the Grand Magic Games Coliseum, right? In Mercurius and Fairy Tale, right? In the second scenario, they'll fight in Asakusa, Benimaru's Benimaru's hood, his place, right? His hometown, right? So in the first scenario, strength goes to Shinman Benimaru. See, for a long time, in Fire Force, it was understood that Shinman Benimaru was the one that not fuck with. Like, out of all the captains and everybody in the Fire Force companies, you don't fuck with Shinman Benimaru. He'll put you out, right? And Shinra didn't surpass him until the end of the series. He easily, striking power is powerful, right? Um, Lifting power is there too. Natsu isn't weak with his strikes or his lifting power, but when it comes to those two, physical strength goes to Shinman Benimaru. Now, speed, on the other hand, I'm giving that shit to Natsu. Natsu's fast. Now, Benimaru is not known to be a fast guy. I would say that, Benimaru could probably react to Natsu's speed. I didn't say anything about, reacting. He could probably react to Natsu's speed. He could. But, overall speed goes to Natsu. Durability wise, I'm giving that shit to Natsu. I always tell you guys, Dragon Slayers are pretty damn durable. They ain't easily affected by attacks. You can hit them, like, if you're a regular person and you're average, you ain't doing shit. Like, even with your most powerful attack, they'll just stand there. When the dust settles, they'll just be like. Now, Benman Shinimaru, we understand he's not that kind of guy. But even so, man, he's still a tough customer. An attack that would, wipe somebody out in one attack ain't going to do that to Natsu. And then when it comes to endurance, it goes to Benimaru Shinman. And you could, give it to Natsu if you wanted to. But I'm saying Benimaru, because the next attribute is intelligence. See, he's smarter than Natsu, and he understands that he's going to, he ain't going to just, use his powers, senselessly. He's going to calculate it out. Because he can, and Benimaru can suffer from typhrosis. But he tries not to do that, and he tries to always be, on his fucking shit. And I do think he has, a little more staying power than Natsu does. With intelligence, I give that to Benimaru as well, slightly again. Experience goes to Natsu, though. Natsu has fought more opponents than Benimaru has, and he has. Benimaru is known to just put out, infernals one after another in his hometown, and then he fights against, and he fights against some powerful people. He fought against the old Hikashi boss, Hibashi, and he fought against his own doppelganger at the end of season 3. And his doppelganger was not weak. I understand that. Trust me, I'm a Benimaru fan, and I know. Um, but Natsu's fought against many. He's fought against dark guild um, leaders, and he's fought against his own brother. He fought against Aknologia. Those characters, shit. Those characters are powerful too. You know, on par with like shit like that. Um, when it comes to close skills, I give it to Benimaru. Range skills, though, I give that shit to Natsu. Recoup, I give it to Natsu. He can power up off of the flames that Benimaru shoots out. You know, if he's shooting fire at Natsu, he can eat that and absorb that and become stronger. But the thing is, the hacks are going to Benimaru because, like, what did Kanro say about the fire and shit? The fire will always side with Benimaru. Shinman Benimaru. Let's say Natsu unleashes the Dragon Slayer roar, right? Boom. All that fire, he can command all that. Now, if Natsu uses the lightning fire Dragon Slaying roar, he can't do shit about the lightning, but he can still control the fire part of it. Environment goes to Natsu in the first one, since they're fighting Mercurius. But even with that, Shinman Benimaru wins high to extreme difficulty. You know, Natsu being a fire dragon slayer actually helps him out in this fight because he can power up and recover again. But it's gonna come to a point where actually Natsu heats up first because AP wise, they're somewhat comparable, but Benimaru is probably more powerful if you ask me. As of right now, right now, on the other side of things, we got strength going to Benimaru um, with the second scenario, right? And that's fighting in Asakusa. Physical strength goes to Benimaru again. Speed goes to Natsu. Natsu dragging with speed. Durability goes to Natsu. Endurance goes to Benimaru Shinman. Intelligence goes to Benimaru. Experience goes to Natsu. Close skills go to Benimaru. Range skills go to Natsu. Regen goes to Natsu. Hacks go to Benimaru. And then environment goes to Benimaru. With the final verdict being high to extreme difficulty, Benimaru wins. Have a good day. Be cool on the corner, and let me know what you think about this. Who do you think wins this battle? Let me know. Just let me know. Just anything. Comment. Be cool on the corner, and let me know what you think.